It's coming in a little bit. Slack a little bit too. There we go. It's not coming in great on my end. I'm a little concerned my internet sucks. I like to give a little cover commentary here at the beginning. And we're live. Welcome to 5 Minute Friday, brought to you by Startup TNT. And this week, I'm your host, Zach Storms, live from TNT Global Headquarters here in Edmonton. And I'm really excited to have a special guest today, the winner of our most recent summit. It is none other than Ratmir Derda. Ratmir, how are you feeling today?
Feeling great, Zach.
You're looking great too. You're looking great. You're looking better than me, which is unusual. Most of the time I look better than people. I'm just kind of surprised at that. I want to warm us up with a quick question before we go to the interview. Play a little bit of game here. Because I think I might beat you, but I'm not sure. I want to see who got less hours of sleep last night.
I think I got a proper 8 hours of sleep, but it was
what? You got a proper 8 hours? Are you serious? Is that typical for you? Are you always getting 8 hours of sleep?
It's important to maintain enough sleep because you can only run that far in the last hours of sleep, and then it becomes counterproductive. So it seems like you could wing it and not sleep, but it's actually best to plan your day where you have enough time to sleep.
Okay. That's great life advice. You're honestly throwing me for a loop. I'm still not sure if you're being serious right now because I've seen you on a lot of Zoom calls where it's like 2 a.m. for you and daytime for us, and you're just like looking normal. So
I've had my share of sleepless nights and proper weeks, and I'm telling you, things are better and more productive when you allow yourself to get enough sleep.
That is, you know what? That's how I feel. Like I should have done last night, but I didn't. So are you ready to kick off the interview? Now that you've given us all some good life advice, let's get this interview started. First of all, what is your name and job title?
So my name is Ratmir Derda. I'm a CEO of 48-Hour Discovery. I'm also a full-time professor at the University of Alberta. I'll mention it.
Wow.
In some of
2 full-time jobs, and you get 8 hours of sleep every night. That's like, you're starting to sound a little bit like a magician. Okay, how did you become an entrepreneur though? So you start off in academia. I think we're aware of that. Tell us how you became an entrepreneur.
Yeah, my passion for academia came from my teen ages, and I did the proper career going through postdoc and training. And then somewhere during my postdoctoral studies, I realized that not all the impact that you want to make as an academic, you can make as an academic. Some things you can impact the world as an academic, and others you actually have to step out of it. And I started dabbling in startups as far back as when I was a postdoctoral fellow in Boston area. So I tried to be engaged in one, and the other didn't quite work out. And then as a professor, I try to start yet another one and another one. So 48 was my probably 4th or 5th venture that actually went ahead and became something. And there were a couple of attempts before that.
Wow. Okay. We have so much in common. But this is not about me. I think the commonality is we both did postdocs where we tried to start companies. But I failed at starting a company, and I failed at becoming a professor. You succeeded in both. So that's pretty impressive. So tell us what 48-Hour Discovery does. Tell us about 48-Hour Discovery. What do you guys do?
We're a Canadian biotech or drug discovery company, kind of an interface of both. We perform early lead discovery, facilitating drug discovery and development for many companies around the world. Companies come to us and say, could you help us to initiate what would become the discovery of the next drug? And what we do is we use our proprietary patented molecular technology to help identify molecules which will become new drugs.
So people are using you instead of doing their own internal R&D. Is that correct?
It's
in some situations.
The drug discovery of the world is split into some companies want to have it from the very beginning. Some companies prefer to bring in some of the leads discovered by somebody else, so in-source them. So if some big or small corporation has no capacity to initiate drug discovery, they would reach out to somebody else like us, and we would help to get them started.
Okay, and you guys have landed some really big, impressive names as customers. What's your trick for landing these big corporate customers that have, probably
patience and credibility?
Go ahead.
You need to have patience and you need to have credibility. Some of these big names take years to court and work with, and discussions and meeting at conferences. If you try to rush them, it rarely happens, but you have to be patient and give it a year, 2 or 3. And in the meantime, try to work with other companies that are maybe not the biggest names. If you're just hoping to sign the biggest name at the very beginning, that might not work out. But if you say, we could sign this big name in year 3, but until then, let's do what else we can. Let's sign somebody else. That usually helps you to get started and then maybe land something. And then the big names would also wait for some success stories from other interactions. So patience and credibility, that's kind of big.
Patience, credibility, slowly nurturing that relationship and building your credibility with smaller, easier to land customers. That's all like really good advice. That probably is good for me, actually. I hope it's good for other people. Listen, Ratmir, how about we talk just briefly about the origin of 48-hour discovery itself? So we go back to how that came about. You mentioned that as a postdoc, you're exploring various different companies. Now, how did 48-hour discovery come about? And this one's got a lot of legs behind it now.
A lot of technology that came into 48-hour discovery was developed in my academic group. And at some point, it became obvious that certain academic direction would be fruitful to continue in the lab, but inquiries from the external world, such as, can we use your academic technology for commercial purposes? Like, these inquiries would not be suitable to maintain in a lab. So I said, since there's already interest from external world to exploit these technologies, why don't we package these technologies into a company and give it a life? And so that, in short, it came from the existing inquiries. And one of the big companies said, hey, I really like your talk. If you had a company on this area, in this direction, we would be happy to work with you. I said, okay, why don't we just form it? Because certainly if we do, there will be interest.
Well, listen, that's actually a pretty incredible founding story. I think for a lot of us with academic backgrounds, we're always trying to figure out how to apply our technology to the world. And here you are, you're at a conference and you basically have a potential customer saying, I would like to buy this. Can you build it for me? So that's effectively what happened.
Yes.
And now you're doing it. So, okay, we're just over 5 minutes. So I got maybe 2 more questions because I like to go over time. What's next for 24 or 48-hour discovery?
Get bigger, maintain dominant position in the world. It's hard to remain dominant in the world if you don't put a special effort to be in that position. And that's our goal. We're now being recognized as one of the leaders in this field, and we have to make sure that we remain in that position.
Yeah, global domination. No big deal. No small feat, but hey, you got to be ambitious to go big. What's your advice for other entrepreneurs like yourself that are maybe where you were a few years ago, thinking about trying to maybe go from being a postdoc to being an entrepreneur?
Just do it and figure out.
Just do it.
If you try to plan it for too long, none of these plans will work anyway. So you might as well plan for the next few weeks. We literally just walked to the nearest DMV. We formed the company without really, other than having some very vague promise that if you form this company, we'll work with you. But other than that, we didn't have too much planning. And then once you form, it becomes real and you have to deal with it. And then you hire people, it becomes even more real. You have to find the money. So in my experience, jumping feet first in a deep end and then figure out how to swim, get things moving. Other people would prefer to plan it in advance. That needs to be a personal decision. My personal recommendation: start doing it. Motion creates commotion, and then things get better.
Okay, I think that's all the time we have today, and that's a great way to end it. Just do it. Just get started. Go to your local DMV, which translates from American vernacular to your local registry office. Clearly, you spent quite a bit of time in the U.S., Ratmir. Maybe picked up some of that entrepreneurial spirit from them. Listen, I'm also American for the record. So I like to throw it in every now and then. I think we'll end it here. I just want to say everybody enjoy their holidays. Ratmir, congratulations again, as 48-Hour Discovery was indeed the winner of our Startup TNT Investment Summit 6 here in Edmonton. We've got a Life Sciences Summit coming up. Didn't even wait for that one, Ratmir, just took home the big prize at the regular summit. Congratulations. And join us next Thursday for another happy hour. See you, everybody.